My next guest is going to be taking on Julianna Pena coming up here at UFC Fight Night on Fight Island, January 16th. It is Sara McCann joining me here on the program. Sara, how's it going?
Going good. How are you?
Doing well, but I'm not going to Fight Island. Are you excited about this? I know for some fighters, it's like, you know, it'd be nicer to get less travel time going to Vegas. And then others are like, who's going to get to fight in Abu Dhabi again? So where are you sitting on this?
So I split the fence. Part of me is like, I love traveling. I haven't been able to travel as much as I did whenever I was in my wrestling career. So it's been a little bit, exciting just taking another international trip and competing internationally. And I learned a lot of really good, useful tricks about how to acclimate to different stuff because our worlds were almost always in other countries. But then, part of me is also like, I know, especially like being a older athlete and, like how much the time change still does affect you a little bit. I know I would feel a little bit better in Vegas. I think I would on your own time zone. If it's a small like East Coast to West Coast thing, it's not a big deal, but I know time changes do affect you. I'm just going to do the most that I can to like negate that. But I also know this, like whatever it affects me, it also affects everybody else. So that's something that like nobody is unaffected.
Yeah, no, it's true. We'll see. It should be a good opportunity nonetheless. Good to see you back, though. I know it's been a tough year getting fights. You're supposed to fight Aspen Ladd back in June, and I know obviously she had that really bad injury. She's still recovering from that, but we haven't seen you in the cage. What's sort of been the reason for the layoff? Is it injuries or just tough getting an opponent?
So it's not just Aspen. I was scheduled against Raquel Pennington. And she got injured. And we tried to delay it, but she just wasn't sure whether she'd be cleared in time. And I was like, okay, I can't keep waiting. It was just really tough. Like, and I say that, with like a little caveat, I'm not getting injured. So I'm able to train this whole year and I'm very fortunate for that. But, Aspen and Raquel are both ranked pretty high. So I wanted those fights to come through. So there's disappointment, but I'm like, I just have to keep reminding myself, okay, but I'm not the one, out for injury. I could be getting surgery. It could be worse. So I'm trying to be grateful, even though it's been like, wow, I guess I'm just going to fight once in 2020. And I see other people, they're like getting 4 and 5 fights. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. But it's my own choice too. I made it really clear that I want like top 5 opponents. I really want to go out there against the best girls. And Mick and Dana, like they've delivered, they've given me those opponents. And I just want to keep advancing. So I'm like, I could fight frequently and make money, but I want to be higher ranking. I want to position myself well for a title shot.
No, it's very smart. Obviously, you got to be strategic about your career and where it's going, and you only want to go up instead of back, right? So that's smart there. And Pena's a pretty good name. I mean, obviously, won the Ultimate Fighter, is pretty notable in the division. Is this a pretty good, suitable replacement, all things considered?
Oh yeah. She's like a super tough fighter, and I have a ton of respect for her. So I know that like a win over her is doing exactly what I had planned to do. And then, go out there, fight my best, get that win, and then ask for somebody higher. I'm just going to keep doing that and, refuse to fight anybody lower ranked. I'm going to fight higher ranked people and just keep climbing it.
Love it. How do you feel like you match up against her?
I think it's a really good matchup. I think the thing that she does really well against other fighters is going to be actually something that's very comfortable for me, which is like she's a pressure fighter and she's, she can bully people. Like she's very high paced and like intense and comes after you. But having wrestled my whole life, like that's exactly the pace that, that I'm accustomed to. So it really like fits well for me.
Yeah, no, it should be interesting, just the clash of styles and everything. Training camp, how have you structured things ahead of this matchup? Where are you training right now and who are some of your main training partners?
So I'm training more out of Precision Jiu-Jitsu Academy. And I bring in different partners. I bring in my striking coach. But it's a little bit more heavy focus on wrestling and jiu-jitsu at that school. So I have to like make sure that I get good striking in. But I'm not so sad because while I love striking, I think that if I want to always put on the most dominant performance, utilizing a higher degree of wrestling than any girl in my division has, and then really, really good top control, and just reducing any errors on top, I think that will show my most dominant performances. And so like I'm really sharpening the best tools that I have too.
Excellent. And the weight cut, I mean, we got obviously Christmas coming up and everything. Are you, I guess you kind of sort of navigate through that, and also the travel as well. I'm sure you got to, keep that in mind when you're cutting weight. But you're a pro. I mean, you're a wrestler. I mean, weight cutting is, something you've probably been doing for a very long time.
Wrestlers have been crying their way through Thanksgiving, Christmases.
That's true. Yeah, this is nothing. Yeah.
Like I swear high school coaches are like, okay, 2 days after Christmas, big sectional like tournament, like a really important one, because they know that we'll just eat everything and get fat and be lazy. So they keep us honest. And so, yeah, it's never been a problem for me. And so that's something that I won't have a problem with.
Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
So it's going to be Jimmy Fowler. That's the coach that I've had at Revolution, like throughout my whole career. And then my boyfriend, Chad, a jiu-jitsu coach.
Very cool. Okay. And how's this fight unfolding on January 16th?
So I'll just admit that I am the absolute worst at calling my fights. Really,
I like the honesty though. That's great.
If you ask me, I'll be like, this and this and this is going to happen. And then it never, ever plays out like that way. But for me, I know what I want, and I'm always looking to land hard strikes on the feet to set up my takedowns. Cause that's a really great setup. In wrestling, we have to use like clearing ties and like a lot of, hand fighting and stuff like that. But if you can punch someone in the face, it's a lot easier to get to their legs, and they're standing upright. But I'm dead set on working my submission game. I want those submissions, and I'll strike if I need to open it up or pass. But man, I want to finish fights, and I see that as it's just my favorite way to do it. Like I like getting submissions. So I'm going to keep attacking them, all different kinds of submissions.
I imagine, you talked about, the importance of getting a highly ranked opponent. So I imagine if you go out there, if you get the win, I'm sure you'd want a quick turnaround, but it's really about who's available in that sort of that top, area of the weight class, right?
Yeah. But I also have expressed to them that if the matchup is really just a matter of someone else being scheduled, I'll wait. So
okay. Yeah,
I want someone, if I think someone's a good matchup and someone's going to advance it, then I'll call that person out and I'll be like, I'll wait until you're open.
Okay, that sounds good. I was wanting to get your thoughts. I mean, sort of the big news right now in women's MMA is Clarissa Shields, the boxer, has come over to MMA and she's signed with PFL. And I actually think this is a great move because, she's not under the UFC lights where it's like every fight means something. It's like she can build her profile up. What do you think of her entering in the MMA space? I think it's great for everyone. Yeah,
I think that anytime a really great specialist comes into MMA, it forces all of us to sharpen up our game. So I think that that's a really cool thing. Also, it brings a ton of the female boxing fans over to watch female MMA. I think it's a really good thing. She has her work cut out for her because what I've learned is a lot of times strikers have a really tough time adapting to the ground game.
Right.
Ground people do a little bit better adjusting to the striking game. And so, but it's probably case by case kind of basis. But I think that, man, her hands are going to be so nasty. And when she's at, not at the top tier, those hands are going to be like lightning. And so some of those girls are going to get rolled up. Maybe some of the girls at the top level will be more savvy at forcing it to be an MMA fight and not a boxing match. So, we'll see, but I think it's wonderful. I love that more high level athletes are coming into women's MMA.
And it's like Kayla Harrison as well. I mean, unfortunately, she was supposed to fight, I think, tonight. Her opponent missed weight. I don't know if you heard about that, but she's exciting to watch, and I can't wait till the day that she's fighting at some of these bigger names, right?
I don't think her opponent missed weight. I think
yeah. What was it? 180 she came in. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing too. If you're going to do something like that, just pull out of the fight. Let them find a replacement. Don't go through the whole charade, that's not even, it's not like she missed weight by a couple pounds, she missed it by a mile. And that's a choice. That's intentional. There's no accident there. It's not like, her body just kind of shut down and she couldn't keep sweating. No, that's a decision. And that, honestly, a decision like that there should be steep repercussions for that. She shouldn't then turn around and be able to get a fight like that because promoters and stuff like that, they shouldn't trust that the fight's going to follow through on her end. She should have to prove that she's serious about this and that she's going to be dedicated, to the the weight making part, which is like a huge amount of discipline. But I think that chick just didn't want to fight her.
I agree. Sarah, it was great catching up with you. Really appreciate the time. Looking forward to this fight, January 16th, UFC Fight Night. Anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media you want to plug? I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my sponsor, USANA, and I would like to thank my gym, Precision Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and my coaches, Jimmy Fowler and Chad Bingham, and all my training partners. Like, they really push me, and just none of this, I would never be ready to do any of this if they didn't help me and work with me as much as they do.